Homelander listens to the guidance of his inner voice. He returns to where it all began, his underground training facility. The researchers see Homelander frozen in place upon his arrival. After all, the previous experiments have become powerful weapons of murder. They see Homelander as if they have seen the Grim Reaper. However, Homelander doesn't care. He even invites everyone to have cake together. Homelander speaks up. He calls Frank over to his side. He suggests a game of waste paper basketball. They take turns throwing waste paper into the trash can. Whoever scores 3 baskets first wins. Speaking of which, this game was actually something Homelander learned from Frank. When he was young, he was locked in a furnace and subjected to various high-temperature burn tests, and Frank sits on a chair, throwing things into the waste paper basket. He intentionally raises the furnace temperature to see if he can burn Homelander's skin. Although Homelander is not harmed by high temperatures, the pain is real. Young Homelander cries and howls in the furnace. His tears vaporize as soon as they come out, while the researchers stand outside, taking notes. Frank is very scared. He explains that it's part of the job. Homelander walks towards the furnace.
Get in the oven or your family goes in with you.
Please, Homelander, you don't have to
Marty.
do this.
Frank apologizes and walks into the furnace. Homelander closes the door and activates it, allowing the high temperature to turn Frank into charcoal. On the boy's side, Butcher's health condition worsens. His wife's hallucination keeps appearing. Huey receives news from the hospital. His father meets the criteria for brain death. The best solution is to remove the feeding tube for a humane death, even though Huey doesn't agree with this approach. But before his father regains consciousness, he hands over the decision-making authority to Huey's mother. Huey's mother wants her husband to be free from pain. At the same time, Congressman Bob Singer addresses the American people. He announces a new anti-superhero law, but he doesn't receive public support. The news even refers to him as a fascist. Starlight has read his draft. She comes to talk to Bob Singer. If the bill passes, it would be like a stake through Vought's heart. They would be expelled from the military and police departments. Stock prices would plummet, and lawsuits would ensue. Starlight hopes the bill passes, but only if the bill passes. Will these things come to fruition? Bob's PR department is not doing a good job. Starlight uses her influence to get people to take to the streets, calling for the bill to be passed. The two of them can join forces to bring down Vought, but the enemy won't be without a countermeasure. Firecracker sets up a temporary press conference across from Starlight's house. All of Vought's media networks will broadcast it together to boost Firecracker's popularity. This is also how Sister Sage convinced Homelander to let Firecracker join the Seven, because in the age of information, public opinion and media are the most powerful weapons. Firecracker is the only one who can defeat Starlight. Her supporters are digging negative material about Starlight and injecting it into mainstream media. Then Sister Sage will find users who will accept this content, putting negative news at the top of subscription pages. Over time, these news articles will influence their impression of Starlight. They will start to dislike this superheroine. Sister Sage is prepared. Now it's up to Firecracker to incite the masses against Starlight's house. Firecracker has also invited many internet celebrities to support her cause. This media event will have many attendees. Mother's Milk asked Butcher to come and help. Butcher found Firecracker's information online. When this woman was 28 years old, she served as a counselor at a Christian Bible camp. She had a relationship with a 15-year-old minor. Butcher found the photos from that time. He threatened Firecracker to stop immediately, or he would release the photos online.
How about I just send it myself? Look around and find out.
Firecracker leaves Butcher behind and returns to the media event. She faces the camera and confesses her sins.
Now, I believe
Our Lord Jesus Christ put that young man
in my life.
After explaining the incident with the 15-year-old boy, she shifts the focus to Starlight. This female hero, at the age of 13, in a supermarket, killed a home invader in the supermarket. But few people know, Starlight also blinded a hostage, and that hostage was a single mother raising 3 children. At that time, Starlight not only didn't apologize, but smiled at the camera, as if these incidents never happened.
I was still learning how to control my powers.
Fortunately, Butcher was prepared. He obtained the keys to Firecracker's trailer and sent Frenchie to investigate. On the other side, Huey wants to save his father. He secretly contacts A-Train. in hopes of obtaining a dose of Compound V. But Homelander has already locked away all the Compound V in his own apartment. It's difficult for an ordinary person to acquire it.
If I do this, we're good. Forever? Yes.
Kimiko didn't expect that. Huey approached a train for the Compound V. She was about to say a few words to him when several bullets flew from the shadows. Huey injured his ankle while evading. Kimiko helped him into the building behind them. The assailant turned out to be a member of the Shining Light Army. Not long ago, Kimiko killed one of their comrades. The Shining Light Army would surely seek revenge. While Huey and Kimiko were trapped, A-Train sneaked into Homelander's bedroom to search. He found a pile of baby bottles. Fortunately, Compound V is nearby. He is preparing to leave with the medication. Ashley suddenly appears. Why is this woman in Homelander's bedroom?
You left a floater in his toilet?
That was there when I got here.
Now both of them have a leverage on each other. They have a tacit understanding, and act as if they haven't seen each other. On the other side, Kimiko and Huey are planning to break through the encirclement. Kimiko covers for Huey. Unexpectedly, she is ambushed by female. It directly blew Kimiko into two halves. Even though she has regeneration abilities, she can't die. Such a significant injury still requires time to heal. Now Huey has to rely on himself. He tightly grips the utility knife and lunges at A-Train. He doesn't have a one-hit kill. He can only take the risk and fight his opponent. Huey is quickly cornered by the Flash Army. At a critical moment, he stabs the enemy in the abdomen with the knife, taking the opportunity to slash his throat. By the time Huey goes to find Kimiko, she has regained her original shape, and she is fighting with Scar Woman. But Kimiko refused to kill, because both of them were kidnapped by A-Train. In the past, Kimiko, for the sake of survival, used an ice cream cone, tricked Scar Woman into the Shining Army camp, causing her to fall into a trap, and leaving a scar. Kimiko didn't ask Scar Girl to forgive herself. She supports Huey and leaves. At the same time, Frenchie, with the keys in hand, goes to search the trailer. The tablet on the bed is broadcasting a VOT media conference. Firecracker obtains Starlight's medical records. She exposes it. 6 months ago, that Starlight, who has been a Christian since childhood, had an abortion at the hospital.
So you want to tell me that those teens over there, that they're safe with her, with that baby killer?
Starlight rushes into the media conference and punches Firecracker away. At this moment, she doesn't care if there are cameras around. She wants to beat this guy to death. Starlight is about to kill Firecracker. Mother's Milk rushes over to stop her. Then Starlight realizes that there are cameras all around her. Meanwhile, Frenchie is preparing to leave. He notices Firecracker's blonde-haired accomplice. This person is also a superhuman. His superpower allows him to freely extend and retract his limbs. Butcher hears about Frenchie's ambush through an earpiece, and immediately goes to support him. Yellowhaired turns into a one-armed. His arm wraps around Butcher's neck like a snake. Compound V is coursing through Butcher's body. His ex-wife's ghost has been cheering Butcher on. He forcefully tears apart Yellowhaired, successfully freeing himself from his grip. When Starlight and the others arrive at the scene, seeing blood everywhere, Yellowhaired's dismembered limbs scattered inside the carriage, Butcher quickly called Mother's Milk. Together they carry Frenchie and leave. On Homelander's side, after he finishes dealing with Frank, he apologizes to the researcher, Marty. Marty quickly says, "I treated you fairly well during your childhood, right?"
Well, you remember the nickname you had for me, right? Really? Squirt.
The origin of this nickname is, Homelander was often locked in an observation room as a child, usually for several hours or even days. Marty was responsible for observing him, and teenage boys have physiological needs, so when Homelander noticed, after Marty finished his inspection, he was away for a few minutes. He took advantage of that time to satisfy his physiological needs. But one night, Homelander didn't finish in time. Marty noticed his pants partially undone, and mocked Homelander, and gave him the nickname Spray Boy. Marty's smile froze on his face after hearing this, and Homelander called the staff over, asking Marty to perform in front of everyone.
No, don't be shy. Take your pants down. Now.
Marty, under pressure, surely can't satisfy Homelander, let alone his comments while watching. Homelander loses patience. He warns Marty, "If you don't succeed, I'll use lasers to cut off your unnecessary parts." While Homelander is happy, lab leader Barbara appears. She requests a private conversation with Homelander. Homelander crushes Marty's head and follows Barbara into the observation room. Now Homelander enters again, this nightmarish room, only to find it much smaller than in his memory.
Did you come back here just to torment those people? Doesn't that feel a little small?
Barbara witnessed Homelander's birth scene. Vought paid a woman $2,000 for surrogacy, placing Homelander in her womb, and the matured infant used lasers to rupture the pregnant woman's belly. When Homelander was born, he killed 3 doctors and a nurse. Everyone was afraid of him, so small characters like Marty and Frank do not have the courage to provoke Homelander. They are merely following orders from their superiors. That's why Barbara thinks Homelander's retaliatory behavior is childish.
Yeah, everybody was terrified of you from your first breath.
But you weren't.
Barbara is indeed not afraid of Homelander, because she knows Vought doesn't have the ability to restrain Homelander. He could have escaped any time, but he never left, because Homelander needs validation and love. Vought brought in the best psychologists. They devised a plan. They implanted this need for love within Homelander, using this method to tame the dangerous experiment.
Your need for love is so deep. It's so human. You'll never be able to overcome that.
Even though Homelander won't admit it, Barbara exposed his vulnerability. As a result, Homelander goes on a killing spree. He leaves with bloodstains all over his body. Meanwhile, Frenchie is taken to his friend Colin's place. Confronted with his care, Frenchie can no longer pretend. He confesses to Colin that it was him who killed Colin's family. Colin immediately beats up Frenchie, but he doesn't intend to kill Frenchie. He warns Frenchie not to come near him again. Trouble is brewing for the boys. Meanwhile, Sister Sage is on a date with Deep, because she needs to give her brain a break. The brain of an ordinary human stops growing around the age of 25, but Sister Sage's brain continues to develop and grow. It's both a gift and a burden. Meanwhile, Starlight's violent behavior attracts a series of problems. First, Bob Singer comes to confront her. He accuses Starlight of undermining his Supernatural Control Act.
Sorry doesn't bring back all the Republican votes you just torched.
I can't be affiliated with you anymore.
Afterwards, Victoria Newman also accuses Starlight during an interview. Starlight finds herself in a difficult situation. On the other side, a train hands over the Compound V safely to Huey. Unexpectedly, Butcher sees it all. Huey says he wants to inject it into his father, and is willing to share half with Butcher. After all, becoming a superhuman is better than dying from brain cancer. Butcher expresses, 4 months ago, I stole a dose from Frenchie in an attempt to cure my brain tumor, but my condition didn't improve, and I didn't develop any superpowers. So Butcher wants to persuade Huey to give up and let his father rest in peace. But did Butcher really not gain any superpowers? The gruesome scene in the trailer. That's not something an ordinary person can do. At this moment, Huey arrives at his father's hospital room. Before he can make up his mind, an unexpected incident occurs.